Live.
Are we
Welcome
live?
to all the
Wow.
loyal viewers to the Towers Watch. It's always weird doing the welcome before anyone gets here, but I feel obligated to
Yeah.
welcome
Welcome
nobody.
the lack of viewers.
Yeah, welcome nobody.
Where is the thing? I'm trying to find it.
It's definitely
There it is. Same
yeah.
thing as- You're
There we
offline.
go. I'm
What?
offline? What? I am watching me right now. Hello to Watersby. Thank you for joining us.
There we go. Yep, it's live. Don't mind me. I'm just sitting here with Varix. I don't know anything.
Oh.
Sitting with my homie.
We are in a weird place for being the Towers Watch, because this is not the tower, for those of you who,
The Purple Palace.
the Purple Palace, the Reef, whatever you'd like to call it, it's not the tower. And that's where we are today. We are not watching the tower, we are watching the Reef. Because our subject for today is the Reef Wars. We're figuring that we'll give some more people time to kind of find the Taken King Grimoire and stuff on the Hive and all of that on their own before we really start digging into all of that. But we will definitely do streams about the Reef Wars, or about the Taken King and the Dreadnought and all of that at a different time once people have kind of gotten more of a grip on what happened themselves. That way we can avoid, spoilers. So this week we're going to talk about a related subject, but also going to kind of backtrack to our good old House of Wolves and the Reef Wars, which occurred despite nobody knowing what they were, what happened.
They were pretty secretive.
Well, it was a war that we just kind of missed over on Earth.
Yeah. Anything that's not to do with our walls, we just don't really care about. Oh, there's something going on over there. It doesn't really bother me. Let's shoot more devils in the face.
That sounds about right.
Yep.
So to get us started, we're going to head on our way. Oh, welcome, Crispy. Thank you for being here to be our mod. All right, we are going to take ourselves to orbit, and then we're going to go say hi to Skolus, right?
Yep. Skolus.
Good old Skolus.
Love Skolus.
Poor guy. Here we are.
We have viewers now. It's exciting.
We do! I love viewers. Hello to Stormborn. Thank you for joining us today. Stormborn, do you play, a Stormcaller? Like, is that your thing? Because it should be. If you're Stormborn, you better be using Storm Trance. I'd be a little bit disappointed if you weren't. No offense, but...
Your name dictates your subclass, apparently.
Hey, Traveler's Blade, and all I do is walk around with a sword here.
This is very true. I tried to make my second live account name Kel of Cupcakes, but I ran out of space, so I
Aw.
can't be myself. Very disappointing.
Hello to Cool Dead Henry. Thank you for joining us, despite being dead.
Maybe he's one of the Hive.
Ah, that's true. All them dead Hive.
Been a long time since I was in the field.
We're gonna drop silence while we listen to Petra here.
The wolves are led by Skolos, the last of their Kells. He wants control of another fallen house, the House of Winter. He'll kill their leaders and take command of their troops. With your help, we'll stop him cold. Your ghost is feeding
Now
on
then.
telemetry. I see what he sees. Why not take one of those heavy pikes for a spin?
So Laura, I'm basically just gonna kind of hand the metaphysical microphone over to you, because...
Is that wise?
Oh, it's definitely wise, because I just, I've been doing so much Taken King wise that I have not been able to pick up anywhere near enough about the Reef Wars for this stream. I am shamefully admitting that I was not fully prepared. But Lau here, being a far more committed lorehound than I almost said lowerhound.
I'm very committed to being myself.
A very committed lorehound has dug up all sorts of information on the Reef Wars, what they are, and things just like, we don't really know why our dear friend, the Queen, subjugated the House of Wolves or attacked them when she did, saving us back at the Twilight Gap or anything of that sort. We're very uninformed, us Guardians. So do you want to kind of set the stage for us? Just kind of bring us up to historical speed?
Should we start from the beginning, or where we are now?
Oh, just I mean, I think we wanted to start kind of with what the House of Wolves was and how the Reef Wars kind of began, right?
Okay, so the House of Wolves is was one of the largest fallen houses in existence. They had over 1 million ships. That's a lot of ships. And when the Battle of the Twilight Gap began, all the fallen houses joined together in a last desperate attempt to take the city and take the traveler for themselves, because they believe truly if they are not with their god, their species will die, they will go extinct, there will be no more Elixni who survive the darkness. And obviously as a species they have an interest in self-preservation. So they're like, this is our last chance, we have to attack the city and we have to do it together as a united force. Even though for years, for centuries, they haven't talked to each other. They fight each other, they hate each other, they can't decide how their species should move on after their whirlwind, their collapse. But the Kell of Kings, who is a very elusive Kell, we
House
have not
Kings?
seen him at all. House Kings, yeah.
Okay, just making sure. Kell of House Kings.
The Kell of their house, yeah. The Kell of Kings met with the Kell of Devils and said, we need to do something about this. So he convinced the Kell of Devils to mount an assault against the city, which we now know as the Battle of the Twilight Gap. The Devils assumed a leadership role in the Battle of the Twilight Gap, but it was actually instigated by the Kell of Kings, as the House of Devils are ruled by the Kings, as their name would suggest. No one likes to admit that fact, but it's the truth.
Interesting.
So the House of Devils, Kings, and Winter joined together to attack the city, and the House of Wolves were meant to join them. But unlike the other fallen houses, the House of Wolves came from beyond the Jovians. They weren't in the inner solar system around the rocky planets. So they had to travel a long way, which meant they traveled through the Reef. The Queen sees this massive force coming through her realm to attack the city. The House of Wolves seemingly oblivious to the Awoken's existence. And she says, either I have a choice. Either I let the House of Wolves pass through my realm, and they can join the Battle of the Twilight Gap, attack the city, and the city will fall. The Traveler's Light will die, I imagine. I imagine that's what she thought. And we will lose a potential ally in the system with the darkness closing in around us. Or I can break radio silence and show everyone where the Reef is. All the enemies that may attack us, I can show them where the Reef is by breaking radio silence, to save a city that I've never been to and guardians that I've never met. And she chose to break radio silence and attack the House of Wolves whilst they were dregs, whilst they had landed on the asteroid Ceres, which is one of the biggest asteroids in the asteroid belt. Because it's round, it has enough mass and gravity to make itself round. I think there's a Grimoire card we can actually read for this part. Sets the scene really nicely.
Which one?
What one is it? It is Ghost Fragment Fallen 4, if you have that one.
Ghost Fragment Fallen 4.
You're far better at reading Grimoire cards than I am.
Enemies fallen. Oh, my Grimoire is not being cooperative today. Oh, I actually don't have Fallen 4. Let me see if I can track it down in my usual place right fast. It's really weird. I have a lot of Grimoire, but I have some really weird ones. I'm like, am I really missing that? But it's been a while since I just went. It's been a while since I just went hunting for Grimoire. I really need to get back into a gig of doing that.
Definitely.
No, Ghost Fragment Fallen 4. That's what we need.
Sorry, stream.
Yeah, sorry about this.
Missing a Grimoire card.
Yeah. Ah, yes, the scatter, that one?
The scatter, yes.
Oh,
that's
right,
the one.
then.
I just think reading that will set the stage nicely for
Alright,
any
then.
questions that people might have.
I will read that. The scatter. This happens long ago, but not too long to matter. Ceres ruled the asteroid belt. Ceres is the White Queen of this space, 400 million kilometers from the sun. Ceres is round. Round means power. Out here, nothing else in the belt is big enough to crush itself into a sphere with its own gravity. Ceres has its own chemical stars, shavings of salt and ice that glint in orbit like a crown. There are other lights, newer stars, newer crowns, warship engines. Another queen is coming to conquer Ceres, because Ceres is full of warrens and shipyards and habitats, because Ceres is round and lucky as a servitor, because Ceres is full of the wolves she wants to rule. Shark-fierce ships gather in squadrons and tribes, skiffs, ketches. The Kell of Wolves has a fleet gathered here. The Kell of Wolves heard the call, and summoned the House of Wolves to prepare for the great battle on Earth. The salvation of the Kell's people depends on their ability to shatter the city. It is a matter of survival. Now the wolf fleet turns to meet the queen. See the squadrons of skiffs wrapping themselves in stealth, cold and transparent, knifing out, invisible and brave. See the ketches like broad blades, the bright thoughts of a servitor guiding them into battle. See them turning, accelerating, waking up their jammers and their arc guns. All doomed. The Kell of Wolves will never make it to the Twilight Gap. The Kell of Wolves put all that strength in one place, and now the Queen of the Reef is coming to break it. Out there, coming out of the dark, are the Awoken. Not so great a fleet, is it? Little fighters scattered around like four-pointed thorns, destroyers and frigates and salvaged hulls pulled out of the reef, and right at the front, at the spear tip, flies the Queen. The Wolf Kell, practical, brave, tallies the strength of metal and equipment. The Kell considers the chance that the Awoken have some secret weapon, something gleaned from the hulks in the reef or whispered up by the witches, and sets that chance aside. The Kell thinks the House of Wolves can win decisively. So the Kell sends challenge and warning. I am Lord of Wolves, the Kell sends. You are an empty thing with 2 dead souls. This is my house. These are my terms. Surrender, and I will only take your ships. The Awoken fleet cuts their engines, drifts. Wolf strike elements, torpedo-armed skiffs hidden under jamming and camouflage, find their firing solutions. The Queen's ship broadcasts. I am noble too, she says. O Lord of Wolves. The Kell doesn't mind a little banter before the kill. It gives the wolf ships longer to draw the battle away from Ceres. The Kell replies, You have no line. You have no power. Captains and barons signal their readiness. Scolas and Pyrrhus and Ixus, Drevis, Picus, Paraxus, all of them bound by fear and loyalty, all ready for war. Starlight was my mother. The Queen's ship whispers an eerie, erratic radio burst. Servitors begin to report a strange taste in the void. And my father was the dark. Here, at last, too late, the Kell begins to feel fear. Call on them, then, the Kell sends, one last mocking signal before death and ruin, and see what help they offer. So the Queen calls, as only she can, Every servitor and every ketch hears it. Every captain and baron roars at their underlings as sensors go blind, as firing solutions falter, as reactors stutter and power systems hum with induction. Stealth fails. Space warps. The House of Wolves shouts and spikes of war code, maneuvers wild, fires blind. Behind the Queen's ship, the Harbingers awaken.
Beautiful. See, I knew you could read it better than I could.
Oh, and that is Ghost Fragment Fallen 4. Welcome to Larger Brute. Thank you for joining us.
That card basically documents an event which is known as the Scatter, where the House of Wolves was broken, the Kell was murdered, and this situation creates a power vacuum. The wolves flee, they bury themselves into the asteroid belt and start vying for power. Who will be the next Kell? And there are 3 contenders at this point, the 3 most powerful barons left after... What's his name? I've forgotten his name. The Kell of Wolves.
I lost it too. I'm sorry.
Is it Varixas?
Oh, that
Varixas,
sounds
I
right.
think. Yeah, Varixas. After his death, this creates a power vacuum where we have various barons jostling for the position of Kell. As Kell is a position that is won. You have to fight for that position in Fallen Society, and when a Kell dies, it is a very tumultuous time, and often signals a civil war in the house. And after Varexus died, we are left with 3 contenders. We've got, who is it? What's her name? Isis or Ixis?
Irxis?
Yep.
Let me...
Yeah.
You read them out and I've just forgotten them.
Yeah, it's... Oh, where'd her name go?
Oh, here's her name. Her name is Ixis. We've got Perixus the Howling and Scolus the Rabid. So those 3 were vying for position of Kell after Varixus died. Was killed by the Queen.
In all his arrogance.
This is the beginning of the Reef Wars. Yes.
begin-
Arrogance, like, cool on them then.
And then he got blasted into little tiny bits that float in space.
Where are you? Are you above me?
Yeah, sorry about that. I got distracted reading. Oh.
So this event, the Scatter, basically starts the Reef Wars. The Reef Wars, yes, they involve the Awoken fighting the Fallen, but they also involve the Fallen fighting Fallen. We're going backwards.
Oh, that we are.
Yep. And thus begins a long civil war inside the House of Wolves for the title of Kell. And we know who wins, obviously. The person who wins is Scolus. But
Indeed.
he doesn't win easy. In fact, the front runner to win is actually Ixis, and she is a baroness who once was a high-ranking member of the House of Wolves. Get to her in a little bit. It's quite interesting.
It's really interesting because, the Reef Wars we think are the Awoken dismantling the Fallen, but really what it was the Awoken scattering the Fallen and then the Fallen dismantling themselves.
Exactly, yeah. They very much destroyed themselves, and the Queen capitalized on that.
Indeed. I mean, if you go in and you read the catalogs of the Reef Wars, you really, if the Fallen had stayed unified, they could have had a chance to still crush the Awoken. But they fell apart and waged war on each other in their very volatile nature. And they're the reason that they're the only reason that they fell apart is their nature.
Exactly. They caused their own destruction.
Oh, I'm gonna get shot by a walker. That's not good.
We know that
we can actually damage his legs.
Oh, that's nice. The Fallen were a very noble race, and you can see that in their prideful methodology and everything about them.
I think the most telling thing is the message that the Kell of Wolves before he died, sent to the Queen. He didn't say, I'm gonna murder all of your people. He offered a chance to surrender, like any noble warrior would. Surrender,
Indeed.
and I will only take your ships. I will not harm you. I will pass through your realm and leave you alone.
Yep.
Would a mindless butcher offer
Ow.
safety?
Ow. I blew up. I underestimated
yeah,
the
you
tank
did.
and I stared it down with my Hawk Moon. Yeah. So any questions on the beginning of the Reef Wars, not the Rift Wars?
The Reef Walrus, as we called it earlier.
Yeah. Reef Wars. Any questions? Gotta give the chat a little bit of time to catch up with us.
Yeah. Gives me some time to think as well about what I'm going to say next.
And we are definitely running a little light today on viewers. I think it's largely because it's still Taken King time.
Taken King Week, yeah.
Yeah. That's why I figured we'd have just a little bit of a shorter stream this time around.
Yeah. One dead walker.
Very dead.
They were delivering explosions.
Oh, Petrovenge.
Get after them, Guardian.
Oh, she's so mad.
She's great fun.
She hates the House of Wolves for a reason we'll discuss later, but it's not just any hate, it's a very personal hate.
Akin to the hunter who despises Draxus.
Oh, very much so, very much. Oh, here's a question. What do we know about Petra? That's a good question.
I have no
Petra
idea.
is a member of the Queen's Guard who are charged with protecting the Queen of the Awoken. She was a high-ranking member of the military during the Reef Wars, but fell from grace after she accidentally killed a load of Guardians.
Huh. That's not disconcerting at all.
So great was her hatred for the House of Wolves that she became reckless, and with power as a military commander, she had munitions at her disposal, shock troops, and she focused them all in one area that the wolves were hiding in, and did not know that there were guardians in the area at the same time. She blew up the guardians as well as the wolves. The Queen punished her by demoting her from Admiral to Emissary and sent her to the Tower as her punishment to foster relationships between the Guardians and the Reef. The
That's
last thing the
fascinating.
Queen needed was the Guardians being hostile towards her.
There's Skolas,
Here we have the big bad.
the Kell of Kells, as he does like to title himself.
He's no killer kills.
Do you have your bow ready?
I do.
Do you want to hit him? Let's see if we can drop his health real low. I'm pretty sure we just killed him.
He died.
We just killed him. No, he exploded into. He just exploded into glimmer.
Did he?
We killed Skolas.
We just killed Skolas.
Woo! All right, team. Stream's done. Skolas is dead.
Stream is done. Skolas is dead.
Yep. It's over. We just,
That's the best thing ever.
oh my goodness, we just wiped him out.
Swords. Swords are the thing.
Skolas is dead. Yep, easiest 35 PoE ever. He didn't even make it to the Prison of Elders. He didn't get that far.
Nope.
Oh my goodness, that's incredible. Oh, that's recorded. I'm sorry, I'm completely off
Yeah,
topic now.
definitely.
We just killed Skolas. Oh man. Okay.
Well, this is a light stream, so there's a room for more humor and.
Oh man,
stuff.
yeah, definitely. Oh, any other questions? Oh.
There's probably going to be a question like, "Tell me, how do you do your cheese? It's amazing."
Yeah. I'm gonna make a video now. It's gonna be how to kill Skolas, entire thing in under 10 minutes or whatever. And it's just
More
gonna
like
be
10
this mission.
seconds.
Drop a bow and drop Skolas, just like that. That'll be the whole video.
Skolas can't handle the void.
He was not prepared for the bow. Oh, it's so much fun. It's so much fun. Oh, okay, so doesn't seem we have any more questions about the start of the Reef Wars. So do we want to go into like specific events, or I'm not really sure where you want to.
Specific events. Yep. We'll basically just follow the Maraid book.
Okay. Do you want me to go read chapter 1 then?
Yeah.
Alright, give me.
We can read chapter 1. That's
Okay,
just
let
a
me-
follow-up to what we said, but it's short.
Let me just throw some grenades at these guys real fast. And
Oh wow, beautiful.
voila.
Oh, that's the door open.
Indeed.
We're getting close.
Okay, so
Cryotrace
where
is
are
getting
the
strong.
Maraid
Number
Grimoire
1.
cards?
Number 1.
Number 1
Let's go with this one,
was.
that's the first one.
Oh, I actually don't have the first Skolas one for whatever reason, and I don't know why, because it doesn't even show up in my Grimoire list.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll find it.
So if you want to open with our first Skolas one, that would be fantastic.
Forgive my stutter.
How did Petra lose her eye? Do we know how Petra lost her eye?
I assume it was in campaign against the House of
Yeah.
Wolves, but it's never really touched upon.
Interesting.
So, such was her hatred against them, she did some pretty reckless things just to kill them. She actually enjoyed killing them. The death excited her. But she's calmed down a bit now.
Just, well, a little
I think
bit.
losing an eye was a wake-up call. Okay,
Ah.
so where's this Grimoire card? Here we go.
It's all good if you need to head off early, Brute. We're glad to have you as long as you're here. Also, welcome to Space Magical, which is the best name in this chat by far. Space Magical. I'm sorry.
Oh, I love it.
That's
I
fantastic.
love it. It's great. Okay, right, this Grimoire card. So the story of the Reef Wars is largely documented in a book called The Maraid. And I've actually got it as an artifact on my character if I equip it.
Do you? I'm going to inspect
Yeah,
you to
take a
show that
look.
off.
Take a look.
The Maraid, look at that. I want that. Just
We're
for...
gonna be reading this book.
We are reading this book while reading this book.
What does the description said? Yeah, bookception. There you go.
Yeah, the Chronicle of Queen Marisol of the
yeah.
Awoken, compiled by the Primarchs of the Reef Cryptarchy. Oh my goodness, that is amazing. Why is that not, like, legendary?
I don't know. I was wearing Dredging Yours Rose before, but I think I'm gonna wear the Maraid for now.
It's befitting of the circumstance.
Yes. Okay, so we're gonna start the first chapter of the Maraid in the Grimoire that's open to us is chapter 7. No wait, it's book 7, chapter 10.
Okay.
This is the first part. It says abstract. The transmission was broadcasted on all fallen frequencies. Lacking at the time the ability to crack fallen encryptions, the Master of Crows, who we know as Prince Aldrin, could discern only that the fallen houses were talking to each other. That was a thing that had never happened before. Then the Techians looked earthward and saw the fallen becoming bolder. Tactics suggested that they were planning a massive attack. We had no planetary arrays, no way to warn Earth. We thought that all we could do was watch. But then the wolves arrived from the Jovians. Their army was hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions strong, a dark wave that washed over the reef, rushing towards the Earth. As soon as we saw them, it was clear that if the wolves reached Earth, the city would fall. Seemingly oblivious to our existence, the bulk of the wolf fleet stopped to regroup at Ceres. The Queen's decision was this: attack the House of Wolves, thereby saving Earth but revealing the reef's presence to any and all enemies in the quadrant, or remain silent, preserving the reef's invisibility but allowing the city to perish. Her harbingers ripped into Ceres, destroying the asteroid and killing Varixas, Kell of Wolves, and more than half his house. The remaining wolves scattered, burrowing deep into the belt for cover. There, new claimants for the Kell ship quickly arose: Irixas, Wolf Baroness, Virexas, the Howling, and Skolas, the Rabid. So that's basically what we just documented in that first card.
Gotcha. Right. That's interesting. That's interesting.
What's the next one?
It's Mecha Orbix whatever his name
Mecha
is.
Orbix. Type of servitor. Have you got that one?
I do. I have that one. Give me just a moment, and I will read it for us once it finally loads in front of me here. My computer is being persnickety today. There we go. Alright, this is the wanted card. It's the wanted card Mecha Orbix-11. From the Maraid, Book 8, Chapter 1. Abstract. After the scatter, the front runner for the Kel ship was Urxis, Wolf Baroness. While Skolas and Paraxus scrambled over the Calyx servitors, Urxis secured the command of the Orbix servitors. Their history is still unclear, but the Orbix originate with either another fallen house, perhaps one that the wolves absorbed long ago, or a modification of the Calyx servitors. Either way, the Orbix servitors held permission on Calyx servitors, which allowed Urxis to wreak havoc among her rival forces at the start of the Reef Wars. So basically what happened initially is Skolas and Paraxus were scrambling against each other to grab a certain type of a certain class of these servitors. But Urxis, showing a bit of clever initiative, went for ones different than they were and immediately obtained them. That's part of the reason she was front runner.
Exactly. Servitors obviously are very important to the Fallen to survive. They create ether, which keeps the Fallen alive. They also act. I can't even talk today. They also offer tactical analysis, which is very important in a combat situation. And the fact that she could find servitors that have permissions over others meant that she knew all of their battle plans before they'd even got to the battlefield, and could counteract quite easily.
No wonder she was front runner.
Oh, you know, us ladies, we're very cunning creatures.
No questions asked there.
Scorch cannon.
Yes, very tactical, the Scorch Cannon. Definitely not just a giant boomstick.
Oh, definitely not. Well, these weapons have a hit behind them. They're extremely old, and they use technology from the Traveler, the technology that Fallen were blessed with when it visited them on their homeworld and chose them to be its guardians.
Interesting.
So these weapons are extremely rare. There are very few of them in the world, and they are extremely difficult to recreate from technology that the Fallen have salvaged. Oh,
The Fallen have a lot of...
Shoot them. I feel bad.
The Fallen have a lot of very old tech, which is interesting because we are just obliterating their very old tech. You'd think that the Warlocks would want us to be collecting this.
Oh yeah. Know your enemies, study them. Nah, let's just shoot them instead.
It's no
Most
wonder...
of the Fallen technology is extremely old, and so, especially the Walkers. The Walkers are a finite resource. There are only a few of them. And they were taken from the full-time world when this small group decided to run for their lives. And they're only deployed in situations where either the Fallen know they're going to win the situation anyway, or situations where it's so desperate that they just need a walker or else they're going to die.
Yeah, which is... we've wiped out how many walkers now?
Well, we just killed one.
Indeed, another one down. So many walkers obliterated. I feel bad every time I kill a servitor, only because I know that they're relics. Servitors are relics that the Fallen can't get back.
They can't recreate them. They've lost the knowledge and technology to build new servitors.
It's just
And they need these servitors to survive because they're the only means of creating ether left to the Fallen, and without ether, the Fallen suffocate and die. Ether also has a secondary purpose. The servitors act, or the prime servitors at least, act as houses for fallen souls. So every time you kill a Fallen, their soul escapes their body, but when in close proximity to a prime, the prime can collect the soul, keep it safe, and one day that soul can be reborn as a new Elixni.
But if you
Interesting.
kill the Prime Servitor, all those souls and all the collective knowledge of those souls, everything that soul has seen and endured is lost,
Does that mean that
and it cannot be reborn.
Skolas could theoretically come back?
For a moment, I detected
Theoretically,
all
yes.
around the site.
That's
As for you,
terrifying.
that was great work. Nice to meet a guardian.
It
that
is, isn't it?
exceeds my expectations.
Any questions?
Winter now
Any at
belongs to
all?
Skolas, and the wolves have just
No, all right. We'll see you around, Stormborn. Thank you for being here. Any other Reef Warsy questions?
We can move on to the next chapter of the Maraid.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. Let's see here. It's Picus.
Picus. Peekaboo.
Picus the Disavowed. Alright, this is chapter 2 from the Maraid Book 8. Oh. Oh, there's an interesting question. It's...
Oh, we have a question.
Yeah, we have, it's just Watersby asking if Urxus was the one who was stranded with Cade, which I don't think the timelines line up for that to be true, but it would be neat if it was.
It would be, but it's not. The Baroness that Cade was stranded with belonged to the House of Exile, which we see on the moon, the Fallen who wear the green colours. Who are exiles from other houses, dissidents who have banded together to try and scrape out a living, bowing to no Kel or no Archon.
So it'd be neat if they were associated, but it is not so. Alright, and now it's time for chapter 2 from the Wanted Picus Grimoire card. As with most of these, it starts with abstract. What Picus' assault lacked in finesse, it made up for in sheer numbers and desperation. Urxus' catches were penned against Eos, and the two sides engaged in the bloody, bitter battle known as the Eos Clash, which left Urxus dead and both fleets nearly decimated. In the aftermath, the Crows salvaged one Orbix servitor, Mecha Orbix-11, believed to be the last of its programming. Though technically a victory for Skolas, the Eos clash came at a terrible cost for him. He docked Picus' arms and demoted him to Dreg as punishment for his recklessness. After the Eos clash, Skolas changed his strategy. So this indicates... So the clash was between Skolas' group and Urxus's, right?
Yeah, that's correct. This is part of the power vacuum that we see after the Kel Wolves is killed. They're both vying for power, and they're brutally attacking each other. Brutal civil war. They seem to have forgotten their original mission, which was to band together and fight for their own survival. At the moment, they're like, well, there's no Kel, so let's kill each other instead. Fallen really needs someone to babysit them, don't they?
The Fallen need a babysitter.
They do. As Varric says, Fallen are not evil, Fallen are just lost.
That's very true. Very, very true. Oh, alright.
The Eos Clash was a significant victory for Skolas, but at the same time, he lost more than half his fleet, so he got punished. He was docked of his lower two arms. He originally was a captain. Now he's lowly Dreg, and you could find him in the Citadel on Venus. He was one of the wolf bounties, and ultimately met his end after escaping the prison of elders after Skolas' uprising, only to be killed by a group of guardians farming on Venus. Not a very fitting end.
Not at all. Oh.
So with this, we see that Skolas is starting to learn the art of war more. Yes, he was a baron before he started contending to be Kel. So he knew the art of war. He was a tactical leader of troops. But you never really learn the art of war until you're the guy sitting at the top.
Exactly.
You're not getting your orders fed down to you. You're having to think and plan and plot all for yourself. So this is really his trial by fire of whether or not he will make a good Kel or not.
Oh, and frankly, I think
Whilst
his
this was a
sheer
victory, it was a pretty bad one.
I think his sheer battle prowess would have been enough to make him Baron. I mean, we've seen what Skolas can do in a fight. That and his charisma.
He's very reckless.
His accursed charisma. So for the moment, guys, I'm just gonna have us hang out here in orbit. Or do you want to head to the reef and just kind of plot through these cards?
Yeah, sure.
Because this is the biggest part of the Reef Wars. So we can go chill out
Then we'll
in
get
the
to
reef.
Skolas in a minute.
Yeah. So we're gonna go hang out here in the reef, and I will take any questions that we get asked as I'm reading. But for the most part, I'm just gonna kind of read through these. I know it's kind of a different feel for our stream, but we were kind of expecting a lighter crowd for this run, since it is still like the raid was released on Friday. There are still people going crazy over that. So thank you all who are here. It is awesome to have you.
Yeah, that raid is pretty brutal. I tried it today myself.
Oh, I love it though.
It's brilliant. It's like vaulted glass, but better.
Yep. Alright, so Wanted Greyor. This is Chapter 3 in the Maraid. With Skolas and Paraxis still fighting, no one expected either to attack the reef. So by the time Paladin Abrazyr arrived at Amethyst, it was too late. The Silent Fang, led by Drevis herself, had massacred almost everyone in the station, including Coven leader Pinar Venge. Paladin Zyre gave chase, and followed the Fang to Iris, where behind the glare of Iris's brightness, a wolf ketch lay in wait. But the ketch was no match for Zyre's smaller, faster ships, or her ferocity. When the Battle of Iris was over, however, it was not Drevis at Zyre's fleet, it was Paraxis. Greyor, another of Skolas' loyal vassals, had attacked Paraxis' sketch at the same time that Drevis had attacked Amethyst. He, too, had lured Paraxis to Iris, and the Silent Fang had used Iris' unusual brightness to disappear just as Zyre and Paraxis arrived in the system. So this encounter is just a mess, because we have Awoken trying to lure the Fallen, and Fallen luring the Fallen, and Fallen waiting for the Awoken, all at once in the same little section of this planet. And it just goes to pieces, doesn't it? I mean, that fight just falls apart.
Yeah, we're seeing here that Skolas is trying to learn some new tactics, and it's obviously not working very well for him. He's trying to pit the Awoken against his last living foe for the Kel ship. So he's killed Uxis. She's dead. Her fleet is decimated. Her followers have disbanded, either joining him or Paraxis. So now he's trying to savor his strength and make the Awoken fight Paraxis. It kills the guy who he's contending with for Kel ship, and it weakens the Awoken at the same time, so it's a win-win situation for him. It's a masterstroke, really, but it just, in theory it works, but in practice it was just kind of a big mess. Everybody got wrapped up in everything.
Yeah.
But we see now the introduction of the Silent Fang, and the Silent Fang are an elite group of fallen assassins led by Drevis, who is a baroness in the House of Wolves. She's quite vicious. And I've got some quotes here about the Silent Fang. Here's one from Petra. She said, "The Fang used to do hit-and-run attacks against civilian targets during the worst days of the Reef Wars. I'm not sure But I think that's what made Varric's turn against Skolas. Assassins unleashed on miners, on teachers. That's a long way to fall. And also we got one from Zavala that says, the Silent Fang? Yes. Yes, I remember them. The Fang made a number of attacks against the city during the days of the Reef Wars. They'd take to terror tactics, slipping invisibly through with cargo and going on a rampage through a crowded residential area. Not only are the assassins trained to hunt targets specifically, but they resort to terror tactics. They will kill civilians to get their point across. So at this point we can see that Skolas is getting pretty anxious about stuff if he's employing these people to do his dirty work for him.
He wanted to be Kel above any and all else, and would do...
That was his one goal.
Indeed. Oh.
He would do anything, including making an enemy of the Awoken, specifically hating him to get his point across.
Oh.
Also, you said there in that grimoire card that the Silent Fang murdered Pinar Venge, who we know is Petra Venge's sister. And that is why Petra hates the House of Wolves so much. That is what warped her judgment and caused her to accidentally kill a fire team of guardians whilst taking out some wolves at the same time, which is why she was demoted to an emissary to the tower by the Queen. Her family.
Yeah, she had a lot of reason to despise the Fallen, particularly House Wolves.
I imagine also that... Wait, I've lost train of thought now. I was mid-sentence, it's just gone. It's just gone.
Oh, that happens. Alright, let's just jump to the next chapter.
Jump to the next one.
After a string of defeats at Amethyst, at Hygeia, arguably at Iris, Prince Uldren's crows finally made headway against the wolves' encryption. They quickly discovered a seemingly unimportant piece of information. The House of Wolves had incorrectly calculated the eccentricity of the asteroid Bamberga. So Paladin Imogen Reif chased Drevis, Wolf Baroness, directly into Bamberga's trajectory. Drevis' ketch was destroyed, and both she and her high servitor, Calyx IV, were captured. It was the first decisive Reef victory since the scatter. But on her way back to Vesta with her captives, Paladin Reif was attacked at Palace. So I mean that's kind of really, it's really a straightforward one. We see we see Imogen Reif using a very small bit of information to make a very large victory. And then this kind of breaks down.
Crows are extremely cunning.
Yes, that they are. Then we have Wanted Wexus from Chapter 5. Under Skolas' vassal, Persis, called Palacebane, the wolves amassed the largest wolf fleet that had been seen since the scatter. The queen could not use her harbingers against them. If she did, Imogen Reif and her fleet, and all the people of Pallas would have been killed as well. For years the siege endured. At first, neither side dared to attack the other on Pallas. Paladin Reif knew that Paris had the firepower to destroy the asteroid. Above Pallas, Pyrrhus held back, hoping to rescue Drevis and Calyx IV, and the other wolves that Paladin Reif had captured at the Battle of Bamberga's Wrath. The Queen sought to defuse the siege by sending Armada Paladins Abrazire and Kamala Ryor into the Hildian asteroids where Skolas was rumored to be hiding. But with the help of his tactician Beltric, the Veiled, Skolas thwarted them. The stalemate over Pallas was broken by, of all beings, a Dreg, ironically dubbed Wexus the Meek. The Dreg led dozens of followers in an unsanctioned attack on Pallas. They managed to blast a hole in the Athens hull, but were stopped soon after by Commander Hallam Fenn. Wexus and the surviving followers were imprisoned alongside those they had come to save. So this war developed into the point that there was actually a stalemate that lasted years, all over the capture of one Baroness and her servitor. Which is fascinating that, this war and the battles of Twilight Gap were long fights. Very, very long. Tons of losses on every side. And so this one... Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go. I was just saying exactly.
Oh, gotcha. And so we see, like the Reef Wars were a big deal. And we see that the Fallen had the numbers that it really is. If the Queen hadn't intervened, there wouldn't be a city anymore.
Definitely not. And they'd probably have the Traveler as well. And
Probably.
they'd probably have got their light back, and we would have lost our light.
And we would probably be playing Destiny as the Eleniski. Which would
Yes, we would. Though
very,
that
very
would be
different.
pretty cool.
be... You would think that would be cool. Oh, man.
Leaks need love.
So...
I've actually got an artifact here from, what is it? The Palace Ring. There
Really?
we go. Yeah, that ties into the lore of the
Oh, it
Siege of
does.
Palace, if you want to go give it a look.
Yeah, the Queen of the Reef commissioned these rings for each of the survivors of the Siege of Palace. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, they did
All
such a
the
good job
little
with those
things.
things. All the little things, yes. They did so much with that.
Everything links together.
The main reason why this siege lasted such a long time over one Baroness was not only was she
An influential leader, she was the leader of the Silent Fang. She was a huge asset to Skolas's plan to become Cal. But Persis, the Baroness who led the siege, Drevis was her paramour, so they had a thing, and she wanted to save the woman she loved.
Oh, man.
It's kind of sweet, actually, that she'd be willing to enter into a siege that was bloody and lasted years just to save the person she cared about most, in addition to furthering Skolas's war efforts. I like that little bit of lore. It's sweet.
Look at all the
There you
fallen
go.
romance.
All in romance is beautiful.
You got fallen romance and hive romance. And then there's
It's
Cade.
just wonderful.
Cade's the source of the rest of the romance in the Destiny universe.
All of it.
Yeah,
He's
we
had
should-
many a paramour in his time.
We need to run a stream just about Cade and his many romances. We'll just fill it. We'll just fill it with obnoxious fan fiction.
Reminds me the other day I found some crazy Fallen fan fiction that I
Oh,
probably
goodness.
never want to read ever again.
Oh goodness. All right, moving right along to chapter 6 of the Maraid.
Next chapter.
Wex's attack may have been unsuccessful, but it inspired another deadlier assault. This time Persis, the bane of Pallas herself, led another strike, blasting through the same Athens hull that breach that Wexus had weakened in his assault. Persis' strike team managed to have me scroll way down low on my screen on accident. I apologize, everyone.
Read Calyx 4. That's where you want to be.
Yes, Persis' strike team managed to free Calyx 4, but Paladin Imogen Rife cut them off outside Drevis fell. Persis might have escaped, but she refused to retreat without Drevis. Paladin Rife destroyed Calyx 4 to prevent the wolves from recovering it, and eventually the wolves were forced back, but not before Persis slew Paladin Rife with her own blade. Finally, Commander Hallam Fenn, Imogen Rife's protege, was able to establish a line of communication with the rest of the reef. Working with the Techans and the Crows, they created an enormous visual illusion of the Harbingers, making it seem as if the Queen had finally decided to cut her losses and destroy the asteroid. It worked. The false Harbingers so scared the Wolf Fleet that they broke ranks. Then the combined forces of Commander Fenn, Paladin Leona Brill, and Paladin Kamala Rior slammed, capturing Persis, Pallas Bane, and driving the rest of the wolves off. Hallam Fenn brought Drevis to Vesta years after Imogen Rife had set out to do so. As a reward for his service, the Queen bequeathed him Rife's place among the 7 Paladins.
It's so beautiful that she refused to leave without Drevis.
Oh, you
And the fact she was so like, I don't want to leave you. So she murdered the woman who had been holding her before she retreated.
Oh my goodness. I love how you're just obsessed over the fallen romance and you're just casually ignoring the death of the
Yeah.
paladin, you know? You know, the good guy
Yeah.
dies, and Lau's over here
well,
cheering for the
yeah.
fallen.
I will always root for the fallen over the Reef anytime.
Whose side are you on, Lau?
The Elixneys. That's all I'm gonna say.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But there's another important piece of lore in this, and that's Commander Hallam Fenn. The Reef society is a matriarchy. Women are viewed as rulers and those with the best aptitude to rule. They lead society. But Hallam Fenn is a man. And traditionally, the Seven Paladins, that role has always been occupied by a female. And the fact the Queen actually gave this position to a man is very progressive. Again, we've seen her favor her brother, giving him a position as Master of Crows, which before was like, whoa, you wouldn't give a man that position. But she's progressive. She understands that, yes, the Reef is a matriarchy and females do rule, but at the same time, the male Awoken have their place and they have their skills and talents which can be better applied. I just think that's interesting.
Look at that, the queen who knows how to lead.
Yep, exactly. It includes everyone.
So I think what I'm going to do is actually kind of try and summarize these next couple grimoires so we can kind of talk about the more recent events here. Because what we have, that was Persis, so after that is Beltrick, Calix, Savix, and Velenix. So let's just pull up Beltrick real fast if I can find it. Let's see here. So what we get is several other battles get detailed throughout the Reef, but really that was the last really significant fight, excluding the Fortuna Plummet. Which a neat thing about the Fortuna Plummet was that the Fallen or the Awoken managed to create some sort of gravity weapon that can knock asteroids off course, called the Charybdis. Charybdis? I'm not really sure how they pronounce it.
I don't know how to say it. It's a weird Awoken word.
Indeed, but they use it to fling an asteroid into another asteroid and obliterate a fallen fleet. And so it's very interesting that we haven't seen that again because they still have it. And it was after the Fortuna Plummet that they received their message from Varix of House Judgment. And that message gave them vital information about Skolas's plan to lead an all-out assault on the military fortress of Sibel. And so because of Varix, the Queen was able to anticipate this attack and capture Skolas. And that brought an effective end to the Reef Wars.
This is when Varix, as House Judgment scribes, the House of Wolves, proclaimed the Queen the new Kell of Wolves and said that every wolf should serve her as Kell, no exceptions. And he has the final say because House Judgment were the house that delegated these matters. If there was a disagreement or something was not so clear in the law, House Judgment stepped in and said, this is the final ruling, obey it or get out.
Oh man, which is, it's you know, and there are several Fallen who did not meld or change over to the leadership of the Queen. But then we also get to find out, we also read about one of the Baronesses who serves as her right hand. That's Savix. Savix was at her right hand for a very long time. In fact, I've been curious to go back and play the cutscene where we get to talk to the Queen and see if Savix is there, but I haven't ever gotten around to it.
Savix is there.
Is she? That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
So
Just the
there you
little
go.
details that link everything together. That's
Indeed.
why I love Destiny lore.
It's so
All
good.
the little things.
And I'm going to pull us
so
to...
we're up to date.
Indeed. I'm going to pull us to orbit real fast. In slow motion because they decided to make this take 7 seconds or 8 seconds or whatever it is. So yeah, we're up to date, right?
Yep, we're up to date.
Brings us to the current things. Frightening.
Skolas's escape.
Yes. Do you want to detail some things about that for us?
Yes. Skolas obviously was the Queen's most coveted prize. He was the Kell of Wolves, and she had subjugated him and stuffed him into the prison of elders in some cryogenic chamber. Then the Prince of the Awoken, Prince Aldrin, got into trouble with the Nine, and we don't really know who the Nine are, but we know that they have some connection with the darkness, and their realm exists in the Jovians, the gas giants of our solar system. And as far as we know, Prince Aldrin was delving into the Nine's territory to see if any of the fallen wolves had retreated there. He believed that perhaps one of their prime servitors was on one of the moons of Jupiter and was tracking it. This upset the Nine greatly, and the Queen owes in part the fact she has the throne of the Reef to the Nine. They helped her in some way, but we don't really know how or why, for that matter. So she decides to send a peace offering, and the greatest gift that she can offer is her greatest enemy, Skolas. So she sends Skolas to the Nine as a peace offering. Then we have the Grimoire card where Skolas is released by an agent of the Nine for unknown reasons.
Curse you, Zer! I just have to, he's the only one I know. I've got to blame somebody.
I think it is I'm not sure. There are many agents of the Nine, but Tentacle Face, it's got to be Zer, hasn't it?
It's very suspicious, that tentacle face.
It is. Just looking, it's in the Legends and Mysteries Grimoire. Here we go. Mystery, the fate of Skolas. We got that one?
I don't think so. But I will check. And where is that one located?
It's under Allies and then Mysteries and
Legends and Mysteries. Let me see here. I'm going to drop us into this mission while we go hunting for this grimoire.
Yep.
Which one?
It's Legends and Mysteries, and it should be Mystery Fate of Skolas with a Skolas.
I do not have it. It is not in my possession.
As the Queen's emissary, I served her in the Reef.
I can read it, but it won't sound very good.
Oh, that's fine. It sounds fine.
Real charmers.
No, just wait for
During
Petra
the war, they
to
went
talk.
after our commanders. They'll do the same to the House of Devils. Varix and I know all their tricks, though. We'll get it.
Okay, right. This Grimoire card. This details how Skolas was released from the Nine. The cell cracks open. Skolas, Wolfkel, stumbles out and crashes to his knees. Thank you, Petra, for interrupting me. Hello. Can she stop talking? Okay, here we go. He tries to leap at the creature before him, the shape in the fog, to show it why it should be afraid. But the weight of grief smashes his legs against the cell. The rage upon him beats him to the floor. He falls on all four hands, his mighty armor thundering against itself. His house of wolves is enslaved, his people have been played, and it was his hubris, his would-be cunning that did it. While the other houses fought for their future on Earth, throwing themselves at the great machine, Skolas wasted his people in games of betrayal and ambition. Bitter pride brought to bitter end. If Skolas were a Kell, he would ask his Archon to dock him. Ether hisses in his mask and it tastes cold, so cold. He looks up at the tiny hooded shape before him. The cell's mist is clearing. He can see. I believe that I am here, the creature said. To Skolas's ears it has a strange voice, a strange accent. It speaks his language. I have a clear purpose. I cannot explain. Forgive me. From beneath its hood, tiny fingers of shadow probe the air. Skolas rises up to smash it, to show his strength, because the alternative to violence is waiting for violence to come, from a universe that has neither respect nor compassion. But he checks himself. His ambitions have brought him here, to this cell in this strange place. Only it's not so strange, is it? It's the hold of a catch. The Queen, he says to the thing. You work for the Queen. The Nine made me aware of my purpose, the creature says. If I am here, then it is because the Queen sent you to the Nine and they wish you sent back. I will do no one else's work. Skolas had been a pawn long enough. A Dreg told him once that she would play in a game as long as the game made sense. Nothing makes sense now except the thought of Varric's throat shattering in his fists. Varric's the utterly disloyal. Varric's who should be welded to a Ketch's prow, atom by atom, and left there as a figurehead to burn away. I am comfortable, the creature said, with a moving face. A part of me wants to go somewhere warm. Now I will certainly tell you what you have been given. Skolas looks at the shrapnel gun in his hands. Skolas imagines what he would do with it if he could reach Varric's, or the brother of the Queen, or the alien Queen herself. Will it save anything they've lost, the world stopped from them? No. It cannot change the past, only the future, only the chance that his people might one day know themselves as more than pirates and scavengers. He should have never tried to be Kell of Wolves. He should have tried to be Kell of everything. Everything wants to kill his people, the machines and the militants and the green-eyed hive, the dead soldiers that hoard the great machine and come out crusading to wipe all hope away. The ship will be yours, the creature said. It hunched over itself as if burdened by its own shape. If you speak, you will be heard. Go now, you are free. He tries to follow it, he fails, somehow it is gone. He goes up to the throne room and sets his weapon down on the great seat. Skolas, Kell of Kells, goes to the comm and looks for the sign of a servitor, for a way to course. And that is the mystery fate of Skolas Grimoire card. So that is how he was released.
I really
There's a lot
wish.
of pain in here there. A lot of pain.
I really wish we didn't have to kill Skolas.
I know. I don't want to kill him for some queen that I don't care about.
I just want him to unify the Fallen. I feel like if anyone could have been negotiated with, it would have been Skolas.
Oh, definitely.
He wanted unity and he wanted survival, and he would have done a lot for it.
Oh, definitely. We see now the pain and the hurt and the grief that he feels over having wasted his people, killed them needlessly for his own ambition. It's tearing him apart from the inside, and this is truly where his madness begins, one of sorrow.
Yeah,
Quite sad. I feel sorry for
incredibly.
him.
As do I. I mean, I was shade stepping through that.
Are you okay there? I heard your character just go. Step through that.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. Just, I got rid of lunch.
Oh, there's a guy shooting from the other side. There we go.
I believe it was Luke Smith in his 104 question interview or whatever that told us all that Guardians don't have Guardians don't use bathrooms. They just use their armor.
They go in their suits.
Indeed. It is canon. Oh my, I was downed. Oh, any questions related to Skolas, his escape, or really anything that we've discussed?
It wasn't really an escape, it was more like, here you go, you've been released. Have fun.
Yeah. For whatever
The
reason.
most important thing to take away from that was the Nine did not tell him to attack the Reef. They said, speak and you will be heard. Skolas' own emotion, his pain and grief drove him to attack the Reef in vengeance for the enslavement of his people. There's a lot of regret in him. He can't turn back time, but he can try and make things better. He can still try and unite all the Fallen as Kell of Kells.
Yeah, so, from that theory, it lies that perhaps the Nine were hoping and expecting him to go for a peaceful negotiation, and he didn't.
No. There was too much pain in him for peace. He needed the revenge. He needed the Awoken to hurt as he had hurt, as his people had hurt.
The Fang probably helped Skolas escape. But rumor has it that the Fang gave him
Doesn't
the
seem we
power.
have any questions on
How
this.
did the Fang get Skolas past them?
Oh, Petra, how little
We're
you know.
detecting.
Indeed.
It's like, how did Skolas escape? And I'm like, well, I just read the Grimoire card, Petra. You weren't listening.
If you were just paying attention to the comms, obviously you and Varric's are just chatting it up.
Here we have the Silent Fang, the terrorists of the Fallen.
Indeed. So what's some more recent news we can give everyone in relation to the Reef and what went on? Does anybody want to know where know what we know about what happened after the in the aftermath of that terrible blast wave from the Dreadnought? Because there's a decent amount of information in relation to that, correct?
I believe so.
There is the Grimoire called The Aftermath.
Indeed, which
Documents it quite nicely.
that mostly informs us that the Queen's brother is not dead. He is stranded on Mars.
Hear that, ladies? Aldrin is alive. I've just made your day.
And annoyed the
I know
rest
there
of
are a
us
lot of
men
Aldrin
who...
fans out there.
All of us males are just annoyed because he keeps insulting us.
Pretty much. At least that's all I've heard from the guys I play Destiny with.
Yep, we don't like Aldrin. He's just annoying. He insults us. Oh, so that massive blast wave hit. And of the things we know that happened, I know based on my weapon here, which is from the raid, it's the Defiance of Yasmin, which its quote is, "Shields up, protect the Queen, brace for impact, save the Queen." And it's from Paladin Yasmin Eld. So we know that in those seconds of chaos, the Paladins were endeavoring to save the Queen, which, in my opinion, I theorized that in some way they may have succeeded, though we don't really know what way.
It's a bit ambiguous, and I think it's purposely left that way.
Indeed, because it sounds, she sounds like she knew so well and good what she was doing.
Oh, definitely. This was something that she had planned. That's something she knew she had to do. It was coming. It was part of her
Destiny. Excuse the pun.
And somehow she was able to save her brother from the explosion, so theoretically she could also do something for herself. The reason Petra is alive is because they left Petra behind. And in the absence of the Queen and her brother, you said Varix is currently operating as the Master of Crows, correct?
Yes, Petra was given the title Queen Regent, and with that power, there was no one else in the Reef she trusted more than Varix, so she gave the Crows Aldrin's spy network to Varix. So Varix is now the Master of Crows.
Which is
And
so
he has
weird.
a very specific plan for the Crows.
Do we know anything about that plan? Or is that just something...
Yes, there's a Grimoire card about it. I'll pull it
Really?
up. It's a pretty short one. Yeah,
Please do.
I have it actually.
If I can find it. It's in activities, I know that. Taken King. He says, another prime destroyed, once sources of light, life, hope, now sign of decay, machines as gods, conspire with Kells, conspire to kill, to conquer, to control. This will not end. There will always be a new Kell. There will always be a new prime, yes? Skolus was savage. Skolus was cruel. Skolus was right. Only Kell of Kells can end the slaughter. Only Kell of Kells can unite the houses. Petra has given House Judgment a great gift. Varix now speaks for the Crows. Crows fly on black wings, find what House Judgment needs found. House Judgment and Reef are allies. Petra is a friend. The Crows will do as Petra needs, but they will also search for Varix, yes? They will find that which is lost. The Crows will find the Kell of Kells, then banners will rise as one, and Elixni will stand together forever. So that's
Whoa.
his plan.
That sent some shivers. That sent some shivers down my spine. The prospect
I
of
had
them.
previously theorized that he would make himself Kell of Kells, but he's obviously so loyal to the idea that he is a scribe, he isn't a ruler, and doesn't want to be a ruler, that he's willing to go on this crazy search for what he calls the Great Elixni. I stood next to him the other day for 3 hours listening to his new quotes.
And
Fascinating.
there are a group of Elixni that are missing called the Great Elixni, and he believes the Kell of Kell is amongst them. And he needs to
Fascinating.
find them.
Oh, that's incredible. So there you go. That's what's that's the status of the Reef. Petra is the acting queen, and Varix is the master of crows. We don't really know what happened to anyone or anything else, do we?
Not really, no. It's assumed that everybody died. In
Yes.
short.
Frighteningly so.
Very sad.
Any other questions? Gotta let the stream catch up with us.
Yeah.
Now, do we have anything else we want to throw out there for everyone with this, or?
I think we covered all of the Reef Wars.
We did. We covered the entire Reef
Covered what
Wars.
happened after the Dreadnought blast. Petra is
Mhm.
now the acting queen. Varric's master of crows. We know what he's gonna do to find the Kell of Kells.
There's really not a lot else left, is there? Yeah. Well, I think if we don't have any questions, then I think we'll let this stream end. Because I think we've given a nice, very quick summary of a lot of things. This one will be a great podcast.
I think it went all right. Even
No.
though I was lacking in material.
That's okay. We had a lot of grimoire. That's really what this one was.
Yeah, grimoire reading.
So much grimoire.
There's even more out there if you want to read more, especially
Indeed.
about like the harbingers and the aftermath of the blast and.
Which actually, there's something I have a question in the Towers Watch email. What are the
yeah.
harbingers?
This is probably the hardest question to answer.
Are they the
Seriously.
giant orb thingies that she shot?
They are the giant orbs that fly at the dreadnought in the cutscene.
Fascinating. So are they just like some sort of space magic?
Apparently, they are living beings, children yet to be reborn, which I don't really understand.
So
At
does she
all.
channel the energy of unborn awoken?
I think it has something to do with how the Awoken are created. What's interesting to note, though, is when the witches are debating this, and I think it's the grimoire card for the Coven, that they're talking about what's going to happen in the battle. They're talking on the eve of war, what they're going to do with harbingers. And the eldest of the witches says, send all the harbingers, but leave one, the oldest one, and hide it in the reef. We don't know who or what that is. All we know is a living being somewhere out there that has survived this blast.
Fascinating.
Here's the part of the grimoire. She says, now the decision is nigh, the harbingers wish to prepare. We cannot send them all. All but one, the oldest, it stays with us. Sedia, Callie, Shiro, take the children. Tell her they are to be planted into a dead thing to have children of their own.
Well, that's
So
not
imagine the
frightening
dreadnought is
at
the
all.
dead thing.
Huh. So I wonder
Another
if...
thing, as she adds, is what if they are not wise enough for the dreadnought? And then another witch turns to the one who said that and says, Sedia, do you not have faith in our queen? So they're linked to the queen, they're linked to the light and the dark, and Oryx himself, which is quite frightening.
So what if she's somehow grafting themselves into the... You know, she didn't look disappointed when the harbingers hit.
He looked almost relieved. That's the
No.
expression I got from her
It
face.
reached it.
Like everything had gone to plan.
So maybe the
That
whole
was what was meant
plan
to happen.
was just to ensure that the Harbingers would reach the Dreadnought, and maybe they do something.
We don't know what they've done so far, but
No, but
all we have is this cryptic explanation of how the children are to be buried into something dead to have children of their own.
huh. Well, there you all go.
Yep, she said it was all part of the plan.
Indeed, it was. Alright, well, if there aren't any other questions, I think we can call this stream a wrap. The Reef
Yeah.
Wars, the Reef, the Aftermath. I think that's a pretty good stream.
Harbingers.
The Harbingers, indeed. Well then, this has been the Towers Watch, and we are signing off. It's been a pleasure having you all.